We'll move on with some international headlines in the world's newspapers with Alison Sargent. Hello there.
Hi.
No bakery news from you, unfortunately.
No.
We are continuing our coverage of that somewhat chaotic political situation in the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Theresa May are really struggling to deal with the aftermath of that general election that she herself called, and her party might have come out on top, but she hasn't got a working majority at the moment.
That's right, Kat. That it also threw really Brexit negotiations into the air. And finally, though, Theresa May took responsibility yesterday, something that a lot of people in her party were really waiting for. The words she said are on the front page of many British papers today. You can see I pulled out the front page of The Independent. She said, "I got us into this mess, and I'm going to get us out." So yeah, a long-awaited apology for some people, although not everyone is convinced it has to be said. I also grabbed the front page of a left-wing tabloid, mostly for the fun of seeing Theresa May depicted as Princess Leia. And there we can see that clever headline, I guess you could say, "May the farce be with you."
I am very much appreciative of that punning there. The Prime Minister perhaps not having so much fun herself. In fact, today she's got quite a busy day, a big meeting on the agenda. She's going to be meeting with the head of this Northern Irish party, the DUP, trying to get a deal that would allow the Conservative Party to govern in the whole of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, and it turns out actually that it's not the first time the Conservative Party has tried to make a deal with the DUP. A lot of papers are revealing today, or notably the Daily Telegraph, that Conservatives actually drew up a plan with the DUP back in 2015. That was the year that David Cameron just narrowly won a majority, and a lot of projections had said that he was actually going to end up with a hung parliament, so they were already in preparations then. And papers are saying this could give clues, this document, about what a new agreement between the two parties could look like. One of the measures in the 2015 draft says that in exchange for support from the DUP, the government would increase spending for armed forces. So something to look out for today. Meanwhile, papers are also reporting that Labour and Conservative MPs have been holding these secret talks to try and secure a softer Brexit. They cite one leader of the Scottish Conservatives who told the BBC that the party might shift its focus from cutting immigration to trying to get good deals for businesses.
All right, yes, I think Brexit very much going to be the focus of all of this, isn't it? Those talks set to begin next week seem very much up in the air. Something else that's up in the air, the Queen's speech, a real particularity of British politics. Now, this is what kickstarts a new government's time, is time of work. Apparently, it's been postponed. It was meant to happen next week. One of the reasons that we're being told is something to do with goat skin and ink. Can you elucidate a little?
Yeah, that's right, Kat. This is something that enchanted me, and I think a lot of people who aren't British, or maybe British people as well. Apparently, so this speech has to be written on goat skin paper, and apparently it takes ink very long to dry when it's on goat skin paper. You might be disappointed, though, to learn that goat skin paper is not actually made using animal hide. It's just very posh British paper that apparently lasts for about 500 years. Anyway, you can read about it in the tabloid The Sun if you're curious to know more about the paper, and you can actually see a picture of the Queen there reading from the goatskin paper back in 2016.
Can you imagine if they did use real goats to do it? I think there would be quite some outcry from
outrage.
Animal rights activists.
Sorry, some papers, though, people are not convinced by this excuse. They think that maybe there's another reason why Theresa May is possibly going to postponing the Queen's speech. You can see here this cartoon from Morton Moreland in the Times. He thinks that, Theresa May just hasn't quite gotten her program together yet.
And the Queen looking a little bit grumpy there, perhaps rather be watching the television.
Yeah, less amused.
Let's move across the pond to talk about another embattled leader, the American President Donald Trump, who's seen his attempts to bring in this travel ban against people from mainly Muslim countries. It's once again been knocked down by an appeals court in the United States.
It has, Kat, and this is the second time, actually, that American courts have specifically used Trump's own words against him in knocking down this travel ban. I picked out this article from Fortune, which is a business magazine in the U.S., because the headline there really says it all. Trump's own tweets helped kill his government's travel ban again. And the court actually this time around cited a couple tweets that you might remember because Trump sent them just right after the London attacks. Now, just to get a differing opinion, I also pulled out an article from the National Review, a very right-wing paper. They say that the court is interfering with a judgment call on national security that's supposed to be made by the president. So we haven't heard the end of this, and just a reminder that the travel ban is currently being examined by the Supreme Court.
All right, we've got some other very important news we're going to follow throughout the day from the United States. These Russia investigations, were people close to Donald Trump talking to Russian officials during his campaign, afterwards, what have you. The US Attorney General Jeff Sessions is going to publicly testify today. Reports emerging, meanwhile, that the president might fire the special counsel who's been appointed to investigate this case.
That's right, Kat. Now, this special counsel, his name is Robert Mueller. You can see a photo of him here in the New York Times. And this is a report that's kind of possibly going to be very explosive. It's a longtime friend of Donald Trump's told U.S. media that Donald Trump is actually now considering firing him, who you might remember was appointed in the wake of James Comey being fired. So if this is true, the paper says it's going to cast even more doubt on Donald Trump and his role in trying to possibly quiet these Russia investigations.
Oh, it's such an interesting one, isn't it? I'm sure we'll be glued to that testimony like all good news fans later on. Thanks very much, Alison Sargent, taking us through some top headlines in the international papers there.